Good morning. I'd like to call to order the Pierce County Council in a committee of the whole. Today is February 18th, 2026, and the time is 9:31. And we have all members present. Councilmember Yambe is online except for Councilmember Denson. Oh, we do roll call is what I'm being told. Okay, sorry, I'm in committee. Ms. Persons, can you call the roll?
Committee Member Yambe.
I'm here.
Committee Member Morrell.
Here.
Committee Member Kruger.
Here.
Committee Member Ayala.
Here.
Committee Member Denson.
Excused.
Committee Member Herrera.
Here.
Committee Member Hitchin.
Here.
Committee Member Denson. Here. We have 7 members present.
We have 7 members present. Thank you all for joining us. So we left off last week with our item O-2026-501. I'm going to ask, since it's the only item on the agenda, I'm assuming we all approve of the agenda? Because if we change it, there's nothing to talk about. Okay. So do we have the clerk read it back into the record again? Okay. So I'm going to ask Ms. Persons to read into the record item number 4 that's on our agenda.
Proposal number O-2026-501, an ordinance of the Pierce County Council related to the additional sales and use tax of 0.1% for criminal justice purposes, as authorized by Revised Code of Washington 82.14.345, amending Chapter 4.28 Sales and Use Tax of the Pierce County Code to levy the additional sales and use tax, amending Section 4.48.20 Special Revenue Funds of the Pierce County Code to establish the Justice and Unified Safety Tax Fund for deposit of the tax revenues, authorizing fiscal year 2026 and 2027 appropriations from that fund, adopting a new Chapter 2.85 of the Pierce County Code, Justice and Unified Safety Tax Fund Performance Advisory Board, and setting effective dates.
Thank you. And we're going to turn this over to Ms. Kelly to remind us of where we left off.
Certainly. Thank you, Madam Chair, Hitchin, and council members. For the record, Andrea Kelly, council staff. Today you have a continuation of the Committee of the Whole that was held on Monday, February 9th, regarding proposed ordinance O-2026-501. At that meeting, the body elected to continue the ordinance to today for additional council member discussion and to ensure that those who wish to participate in public comment had the opportunity to do so. The proposal before you today seeks to impose a new 0.1% sales and use tax for criminal justice purposes, establish the Justice and Unified Safety Tax Special Revenue Fund, or Justice Fund, and establish the Justice and Unified Safety Tax Performance Advisory Board. Included in your packet today is an updated staff report and the slides from the February 9th presentation prepared by the Executive Office Senior Counsel John Lane and Director of Finance Julie Demuth, who are also in attendance today. The intent today is not to present those materials again, but are included as references for the members to use in today's discussion. The members of the Public Safety Funding Work Group also attended the February 9th Committee of the Whole and individually expressed their support for the proposal and the 2026-27 spending plan included in the proposal. Today in attendance, we have Pierce County Sheriff's Office Under Sheriff Fajardo and Madam Prosecutor Robnett from the Public Safety Funding Work Group. Although the additional members of the work group are not attending in person today, they are aware of today's meeting and are available for follow-up in the event that the council member questions are so detailed that Mr. Lane, Ms. Demuth, or I cannot answer them. With that, Madam Chair, I turn it back to you.
Thank you very much. So again, we talked a little bit about this during study session. The intent is first to see if there's additional questions that any of my colleagues have, then turn it over to public comments. At this time, looking at, I'm just kind of doing mental math here, trying to determine the amount of time. So while we're addressing some questions, I'm going to do some math and figure out where we are. So normally we do 3 minutes of time. We have some hard stops coming up, so just trying to figure out where we are. So we will start with Councilmember Kruger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted, when I reviewed the last meeting, I had asked for any documentation or of meeting minutes or things that were kept on the work group, and I've never received that. Is there nothing to receive? I was left with the impression there was information that would be sent to me.
Mr. Lane, can you help with that portion?
My apologies, there were not necessarily meeting minutes, there's certainly agendas, and I can make sure those are sent right away. I apologize for the oversight.
Okay, thank you. And perhaps Ms. Demuth would be more on my next question in the sense of the tax collections that we have going on right now. I believe they are up, and part of that is because the legislature has increased the types of services to be taxed. Is that correct?
That is correct. Senate Bill 5814 was adopted by the state legislature in last year's session. That tax went into effect late in 2025. We actually have not seen an increase in our sales tax revenues attributed to Senate Bill 5814 yet. We've been digging into the data. Currently, our sales tax collections are coming in slightly below what was assumed in the 2026 budget.
So then would it be correct to speculate that doing another 0.1% increase is going to increase costs to the county in the services that it uses? Because it uses IT, it uses security. It would also be taxed to, like when the schools are building a school and there's the construction costs, there would be the extra 0.1% on those purchases, correct?
On any purchases where sales tax is applied, yes, it would increase by 0.1%.
And so the county itself is an organization that is doing extreme purchasing in public works, when it does road work. Those materials are all taxed and paid for by the citizens and the residents, correct?
Correct. It's paid for by county revenues.
So it's not just a penny for every $10 to someone who goes out and buys school clothes. It is the additional tax to the county people for all of the purchases that are done by government and schools and those kinds of things, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We will go to Vice Chair Herrera.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of questions, and one of them is, and maybe this was asked last time, but I don't remember, but this tax increase is basically just to kind of keep us where we're at. It's not really expanding the scope of public safety outcomes in Pierce County.
It is intended to help expand some outcomes, but the primary goal of the revenue is to help us maintain our current service levels. As projected right now, we have a structural deficit that is approaching us in the next biennium. If we don't address that structural deficit, we will either have to make significant reductions to our service levels, which would hit public safety in a very significant way, or we need to find additional revenue sources to help cover that structural deficit.
Thank you. And we might have talked about this last time too, but just to remind myself on if this tax is passed, on how, I know there's some agreements now for this next biennium of how it's going to be divided up. What are the guarantees that the departments will benefit equally or equitably in the future? Like, I guess in the wording?
The Criminal Justice Work Group, which I believe becomes the advisory board for the fund, they will work together to address, they'll evaluate how the funds are being expended, what the outcomes are, they'll set priorities for the funding. It's intended that that group comes to consensus on what is proposed in the budget. That's how the process went when we developed the proposed spending plan that is before you now. So the goal would be that that group comes to consensus on what is best for each department and what is best to support the overall criminal justice system.
And that is just for what comes out of the tax, that money, not their general budget, overall budget, right?
Correct. The group would be focused on the special revenue funds within the Justice Fund.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Additional questions? Councilmember Morrell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I won't launch into my 12 questions this time. I will try to condense it down. Don't want to really walk through and repeat what was talked about last time, but there may be some new people who have come into the space. So I know in sometimes there's reference to the budget that I know my colleagues are all intimately knowledgeable about. When I look at the financial overview of the county, and I assume your department put the financial overview together, the 2026-27 biennial budget that we just passed shows revenue of $3.1 billion.
Correct.
You go down to expenses, and it shows $3.47 billion.
That is correct.
In my math, in my checkbook, that doesn't add up. So where is this other $475 million coming from?
It is coming from fund balance reserves across our various funds. So there are many tools you can use to balance the budget. Some of those are temporary tools, such as using what is in a fund's reserve or within the fund balance. So our budget has revenues of $3.1 billion. We have expenses of closer to $3.5 billion. We are covering that gap using funds from our reserves across all of the various funds. We have close to 100 different funds across the county.
Okay, so it's like we're pulling savings out
Correct.
to run this budget.
Yes, and
How-
some of that is planned, right? A planned use of fund balance within our general fund specifically, which is what largely supports criminal justice and public safety. Those reserves, use of that reserves are not necessarily planned. Those reserves are intended to support the county when we have emergencies, when we have an economic downturn, when we have unplanned purchases that we have to do. There's a certain amount of reserves that have to be set aside to allow the county to have that fallback when we encounter those emergency situations. We also need a minimum amount of fund balance to make cash flow. So most of our revenue comes in the form of property taxes. We receive those revenues twice a year. We have to be able to pay payroll between April and October. And so those funds come out of our fund balance in order to help us meet our cash flow needs.
Okay. And of the, and we try to maintain a 15%?
The county's longstanding fund balance policy for the general fund specifically is a 15% fund balance target. I will say that best practice in recent years shows that we should have a slightly higher level than 15%. That's due to help the volatility we have in the economy, the more extreme natural disasters that we are encountering. So technically, we should strive to have a slightly higher fund balance.
Okay. And we, as the county, as my colleagues know, we've got some definite capital projects coming up that we have to address. Currently, we have some litigation going on the old jail, not to be confused with the new jail on Yakima. And if that litigation, which is, I assume, moving forward in the summer, puts us in a precarious position if the judge rules that the old jail is not suitable to keep folks in. And the old jail handles all of our felonies, severe criminal cases, etc. And I think it was addressed last time by Under Sheriff Fajardo that we just don't have any place to put those 700 inmates in, and they stay for about a year is what I understand the average is. So we have to possibility, we're going to have to replace that. that jail. We're also in the middle of trying to negotiate and decide what to do with Raymond Hall, our juvenile retention center. So those two are definitely on the radar. Do we have within the budget the ability to, the revenue to bond those and pay for them at this point in time?
Not currently. In order to bond for those capital improvements, we would need to identify a new revenue source to support the debt service.
So, in just point blank asking you, would this revenue stream be eligible for
Yes.
bonding?
Yes, it would be.
And it's eligible because it doesn't have a sunset clause on it?
And it's a new revenue source that would be available.
Okay. Okay, and then I know, and this is another issue that we continually deal with, especially within the Sheriff's Department and corrections, is vacancy savings. Vacancy savings pretty much at the end of the year, we allot positions, and each of those positions, you have a funding that goes with that full-time employee. You don't have the ability to take those funds until the budget comes forward again. How do you deal with that? At the end of the year, the Sheriff's Department currently has 37 vacancies in patrol, 37 vacancies in corrections, which is about, back of the nap, $11 million. What happens to that $11 million at the end of the year?
Those funds go into our fund balance reserve. So essentially, at the end of the year, we take our revenues that we received that year minus our actual expenses. What is left over, if there's anything left over, goes into our fund balance. Now, over the last several years, we have been able to build that fund balance up, specifically due to our issue in all the vacancies that we have within public safety. That has resulted in our fund balance increasing over the last several years. However, 2025 is the first year in maybe 5 or 6 where we have had to use fund balance in order to close the year. We're not fully closed yet, but we will use between $20 and $22 million of our reserves in 2025. So this is the first year that we start to see use of our reserves to pay for our ongoing expenses, and that reserve begins to decline over the next several years.
Okay. And ultimately, when it comes to the budget, it's council who makes the decisions of what cuts we make, who stays, what we put dollars towards departments. Is that correct?
That is correct. The executive would bring forward a proposal for council to consider, but it's ultimately up to the council to determine how any reductions would be applied.
And that would be the same to the special revenue that we're looking at? It would be up to the council to decide?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. We are going to move on to Vice Chair Herrera.
Thank you. Just another follow-up question on something Councilmember Morrell brought up about bonding and then having a new revenue source to do that. In 2002, we built the new jail over here, which is now old, and I think we just paid that off. I can assume that we had to have some type of revenue stream to build that new jail in 2002. What's the difference between that and the new jail? I mean, what happened to that other revenue source that we used to bond that jail when we built it 20 years ago?
The funding that we used to bond for that facility is now being used to pay for the bond that we issued in order to purchase 1501 Market Street.
Okay, got it. So the new council building.
Yes, the new council administration building, as well as all the improvements that are happening here within the county city building to create that justice center.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go to, we'll go to Councilmember Krueger. Councilmember Krueger.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. Just to reiterate on the expenses being made for fixing up this building and then the Market Street building. Now, Tacoma has already passed the tax, and if this passes again, then they will have the additional, 2/10 instead of 1/10 that will be charged to the citizens of Tacoma, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And also, would it be a stretch to say that with the prolific spending of the legislature that has happened and is happening now, that if anyone is watching what they are doing, that if we have to pass a tax to pay for these things, wouldn't that be a bailout for the state so they can continue their spending because they're forcing us to pay for things that they should be paying for?
One could say that, yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Krueger. We're going to go to Councilmember Ayala.
Thank you, Chair. There was a question about council having the ability to determine how our special revenue dollars were used. For 2015, I recall there's some restrictions or some limitations for what this 1/10 of 1% revenue. Can you remind us about those limitations?
Sure. There are limitations set forth by state law, so the legislation that adopted House Bill 2015, as well as the proposed legislation that's before you. The revenues are limited for use for public safety and criminal justice services. And there's some specificity within that, but the funds can only be used to support those services.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Ms. DeMuth, I haven't heard this come up, but it's been teased, but I know we heard a lot of public comment on it last week around concerns around fraud or just how we keep track of this fund. So can you help me and the council and anyone who's listening, how do we monitor our dollars to make sure they're being used for public good, and what are the protections that are built into this particular bill that really make sure that we're true to the word of the legislation from the state and what the Public Safety Committee has established as how it should be put out?
Sure. So broadly, the county is subject to 3 audits every year. This is done through the Washington State Auditor's Office, and we're held accountable for compliance with laws at the federal level, the state level, as well as local laws. We have a financial audit. This audits our financial statements for accuracy as well as compliance with laws and regulations. We have the federal audit, which monitors our compliance and internal controls supporting all of our grant-funded programs. That audit is provided to the federal government. And then we have our accountability audit. This monitors our internal controls, compliance, appropriate use of public funds. So that's every year. We are subject to those 3 audits. We're currently undergoing our accountability audit right now, and then we'll transition to our fiscal audit. In addition to that, we have internal audit functions as well. We have an internal auditor that resides within the finance department who's responsible for auditing all of our departments across the county. The auditor is looking for internal controls, compliance, and ensuring that we're being responsive to any audit findings that we do receive. Additional to that, we have departmental contract monitoring. So departments are responsible for monitoring all the activities associated with their contracts. That includes thoroughly reviewing invoices, desk audits, site visits, activities such as that. I'll also add that all of the county's financial transactions are available to the public. Every dollar that goes out the door can be found on our Open Pierce County site. We have a tool called Open Checkbook. For the Justice Fund specifically, there are several internal controls built in to that fund as well. We have the advisory board. We have the Criminal Justice Work Group, which will become the board. overseeing that fund. So they will evaluate outcomes, evaluate spending, monitor spending, make recommendations on how future funds should be spent. We have to provide annual reporting to WASAC, the Washington State Association of Counties. That reporting is then provided to the state. Within the legislation as well, it specifies that we will provide a public-facing dashboard that has all of our data available. So performance metrics, which will be determined by the board and the council. So we'll have outcome data available as well as how all the funds are being spent.
Okay, thank you. That was an excellent job. I asked you complicated questions, so we're going to go back to Councilmember Morrell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Muth, since you're up there, looking through the ordinance, there is positions that will be added. We call them FTEs. And so the Sheriff's Department gets 3 FTEs, and it says Department Computer Support Specialist. Superior Court gets 1 judge for Superior Court, 1 judicial assistant for Superior Court, 1 court reporter, and those are necessary to stand up a court. Okay. The clerk of Superior Court gets 2 full-time employees.
Legal assistance, that's to support the workload associated with the new judicial department being added.
Okay. And then your department, finance department, gets 19 FTEs, but then you have it bracketed LTD. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, these are what we call limited duration employees. So they will be brought on for a specified amount of time to complete all of the software development work that's included in the proposal. So we anticipate these employees will be with us for a period of 2 to 4 years, and then the contract will end and they will be let go. So they're not an ongoing cost to the county. We need to bring on additional software development resources in order to address all of the proposed projects included in the legislation. While it says 19 FTEs, our plan is not to bring on 19 new people. That was the capacity needed to complete all of the work within a 2-year time period. This work will actually probably take us closer to 4 years to complete, and we're going to do it with a smaller number of employees that we bring on. If adopted, our plan would be to bring on 6 employees this year to help support that work.
Okay. In that, all that being said is for building the digital evidence management built-in legal information network exchange. So that's considered the links.
So the county has a pretty dire need for a digital evidence management system. The current solution we have right now is cumbersome. It requires a lot of manual workarounds and is requiring excessive amounts of staff time, both within our prosecutor's office as well as within our Department of Assigned Counsel. So what's being proposed and what was requested by the work group is for the county to develop its own internal digital evidence management system that would be built within what we call our LINKS network. That is our overall criminal justice system that we've had in place for decades now. It is one of the best systems I have heard in the nation. This is a system that is used across our criminal justice system. It's used by our sheriff's office, both on the law enforcement side as well as corrections. It's used by our courts. It's used by our prosecutor, and it's used by our public defenders as well.
Okay, and the perceived outcome of this will be?
It'll
What?
be a much more streamlined process. This will free up our existing staff to be able to do more work. Right now, we have attorneys within assigned counsel that are spending their time doing manual workarounds to manage evidence. We have a significant increase in the amount of digital evidence that the county is using, both in all of our court cases. This is attributed to the prolific use of cell phones, our Axon body cameras, our in-car video. It's resulted in a really significant increase in digital evidence that is used for court cases. So this system is to help manage chain of custody. It's helped to provide the digital evidence through the life of a case, so how it's used by the prosecutor, how it's used by public defense, and then how it's used in the courts during a trial.
Okay. And then, just to reiterate, when that software comes online and work all the bugs out of it, then these 19 or 21, 22 people will be let.
Yes, we do not intend to increase staffing on an ongoing basis. We are confident we'll be able to maintain these systems going forward with our existing resources. We have made significant advances in our use of technologies to keep up with our technical debt. So we are able to do this within existing resources. We need additional resources to help develop and build the software solutions. Outside of the digital evidence management system, there's also 30,000 hours of backlog work that needs to be completed for links. This is requests that come forward from all of our criminal justice partners and agencies for new functionality or enhanced functionality to the system. So these funds will enable us to address that backlog. That helps support more efficient processes within the criminal justice system. It also includes a solution for the prosecutor's civil cases, building case management functionality within links, as well as a solution for district court, who is having to move to a new system because the system they are currently using is being decommissioned by the state. So it's a pretty broad technology package.
Okay, appreciate that. Is there anyone from juvenile court here?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. In the ordinance, you have an allocation. It's called Positive Youth Development Programs of $1.5 million. What are those programs? Do you know?
So those are programs really focused on outcomes for youth, for juveniles. It's to help prevent entry into the system, or once they are in the system, to help them acclimate and grow and not return to the system later in life. These programs currently we were able to fund through American Rescue Plan funds. Those are one-time dollars. That funding is going away. Outside of ARPA funds, juvenile court has kind of cobbled together, so to speak, funding over the years from various grants. So what this does is it carves out reserves funding specifically for these programs, so they have a dedicated revenue source for them going forward.
Just off the top of your head, do you know one or two of those programs?
Yes, Boat Builders is a really popular one. So this is where youth get the opportunity to work on boats, build boats. So it helps develop skill sets. It helps with socialization. It helps them develop goals. Another one is, I think, Skate Alchemy is a big one. So this focuses on getting youth outdoors through skateboarding. Again, it's the socialization. It's building relationships. It's helping to find goals outside of crime and other things like that get youth into the system.
So when a judge does a diversion program like that, the juveniles are monitored? I mean, they have to, there's a structure.
Yes, absolutely. There's a structure.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for the comments. We'll go back to Councilmember Krueger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just got prompted some other questions, kind of working backwards. On the youth positive development, is that not an equivalent to the youth violence prevention dollars? Because those programs had been funded by youth violence prevention, and those are still available, correct?
Yes, they're similar.
And would that, is it After the Bell, I think is the program that has been done, is that also considered the youth, the PYD program?
I'm
the
not
hi-
sure if it's one specifically that juvenile court uses. I think it's more of an after-school program.
Yeah, correct, but I could see where that could build into something like that. Then going backwards again with the software development, now that would all be in-house, so it doesn't get a sales tax to it, correct? But if you were to purchase from a third party, it would have the sales tax, and that has the new, that would be bumped into that category. And listening today to a program, and they were talking about AI, and it's pretty sketchy on what we don't know, what's coming up. And the Links program, is that something that could be considered a communications mechanism? Because it's communicating the different departments and being able to understand what's going on with the different departments and being able to find things, and how perhaps law enforcement talks to the prosecutor's office, that talks to judges, how all these files get put together. Could that be considered some kind of a public safety communications mechanism?
Yes, I would refer to it more as a case management system than a communications mechanism, but yes, it's where filings occur, so documents are recorded in the system. It's how a case progresses through its life.
Because I'm thinking in terms of if the law officers have body cams and they are communicating, they have, with the photo, with evidence, and I'm trying to make a connection here that could be considered, part of the emergency communications piece, that, part of that family. Could a connection be made there, do you think?
I'm not quite sure I'm understanding the question.
The 911 system is specific to emergency communications, correct?
Correct, yes.
And so I'm considering in the thought that the body cams are an emergency communication piece, in that it's real time. I believe that it's being communicated on what's going on in the call. If they need help, they can do that through that system, through that.
Yes, if we're talking about the revenue sources for this, there are two main revenue sources. We have what's called our E911 funds, and then we have our emergency communication sales tax. The body and dash cams would not be an appropriate use of our E911 funds. Those specifically go towards what we call our PSAP, or it's the point of communication where a responder is answering a 911 call. Mm-hmm. Emergency communication sales tax, that's also a 1/10%. That does have broader use. However, currently those funds are largely distributed to South Sound 911.
Correct. But that's a county council tax, correct?
Yes, the county council, yes, authorizes the tax.
Okay. Those are my questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So not seeing any other lights come up. I have one additional question. I'm going to let the community that's here know, and online, I want to make sure we have time to deliberate after this. And we do have a flood control executive committee this afternoon. So we are going to limit testimony to 2 minutes. I'm going to give you some time to think in case you had 3 minutes planned. Many of you in this room, I'm recognizing some faces, have also sent us comments online through the portal. And then again, we will hear this again when it comes to the full council. So my question is just around resources for building, kind of piggybacking on what Councilmember Morrell was addressing. So right now in our county, to build public facilities, what's the main resource that we use?
It would be debt service. We have what we call REIT revenues, real estate excise tax revenue. That revenue is nowhere near sufficient to what we would need to. We have at minimum $500 million in facility needs between Raymond Hall and our adult jail.
Okay. And then my follow-up, as a Parkland resident, this is something I'm going to say again, the REIT is only collected on real estate tax, like real estate things that happen in unincorporated Pierce County. Is that accurate?
That is correct. REIT is collected within city boundaries as well. However, that revenue goes to the city.
So unincorporated Pierce County is going to pay for the public facilities for the entire county. This tax would be collected countywide, which would allow everybody that's using our justice system, our jail, Raymond Hall, courthouses, to contribute if we were to bond against it in those facility developments.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. So we are going to open this up for public comments. So we're going to start in the room. I'm going to use the sign-in sheet. Again, if you didn't sign in, it's all good. I will go to the end and allow people, and then we will go online. We're going to do 2 minutes. And so again, I will try and call your names correctly, and I'm going to give kind of a who's on deck so people can queue up. So I've got David Baumgardner, followed by Mark, and then Shannon. You didn't say yes or no, but I'm just going to call your names. So David, we'll have you start, and you have up to 2 minutes, and there's a timer over here. If you'd like your name on the record, please say it out loud.
Good morning, council members, Madam Chair. I'm a little confused. The county recently celebrated a balanced budget, and now we're back to needing some more money. The thing that throws me off, this ordinance, what started this whole thing was Pierce County is worst in the United States in funding of deputies per capita. And there's not one provision in this that I see that adds one more deputy back to the street. So I understand there's other components that go on in the county, but from what I understand, if this goes through, we're still in last place in terms of that, measuring that way. I would ask the county to reject this ordinance. I'm sure that if the people in the county thought it was a good idea, that they'd be happy to vote on it and support it at the ballot box. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Mark, followed by Shannon, and then Angeli.
Good morning, Madam Chair and council members. Thank you for your time this morning, and thank you for the opportunity to come back and speak twice. It's great. So I had not planned on talking about this, but thank you, Councilmember Morell, about raising the issue about revenue and expenses. That was news to me. I thought the budget was balanced, and when I see a revenue of $3.1 billion and expenses of $3.5 billion, I put my project manager hat on and say, well, that's not a balanced budget. Typically, best practice, you look at risks, opportunities, and reserves, and to start out of the gate using what looks like approximately $400 million of reserve to create a pseudo-balanced budget would not be best practices in the business world. And I would submit it should not be in the government world either. All right, so that's an add-on, but I'm going to stay in my time. So our families are already under tremendous pressure, right? Since we've met, school levies have been passed, and now taxes are yet going up again, right? Taxes in several school districts have gone up between $1 and $2.50 per $1,000 of assessed value, which is further increasing the strain upon our families and working class. Also, thank you, Councilmember Krueger, also did not know that we might have additional revenue coming from new state provisions which allow for taxes to be recouped on additional services. I don't know what those are, but it sounds like there could be some additional taxes that might be available to us in Pierce County. Our citizens need breathing room from these taxes. Right? We're seeing record taxes come out from Olympia. I spoke with a small business owner yesterday, told him about this and what was going on, and he said, our government is out of touch. They do not understand what working families and what small businesses are going through.
Thank you for your comments. It went really fast. Yep. Shannon, you didn't mark that you wanted to speak, but just checking. And then Angeli, and then Kim.
Good morning. Let's see. The ordinance to sell this parcel is sitting in front of council waiting for a sponsor or paperwork still with the intern at the prosecuting attorney's office. This feels like your team is playing games. Two of the people who have anti-harassments against me are encroaching on county property. You mentioned the county doesn't have the means to prosecute them, or that the other two homeowners who are causing blight. So if we don't have the funds to do our job, why are you asking for more money? There was a mention that you have 37 vacancies in patrol, but yet there were 4 deputies that showed up at my house last week. 4. 4. But 37 vacancies, 4. Let's see, Janie Hitchin, what did you say to me? All legislation must have a pathway to allow for public comment. You are welcome to add your comments to the record if you choose, but we do not have the right to police or choose what is entered once someone shares it through the portal. This particular piece of legislation is on hold until we've truly determined the impacts to do anything to the neighbors, as we do not want to create additional problems when you and others have made it very clear that there are significant concerns to be addressed. That was in 23. We are now in 26. You have criminals doing criminal work. You yourself say it in all of your internal emails. You all say in your internal emails you need more taxes, but someone like me who pays $5,000 a year in just property tax alone, I have 124 calls. Why? Because you won't do your job. So what would make us believe that you would do your job now? I can go on and I'm going to keep continuing to do this, but I'm just going to take it to federal court because I'm really tired of the county making all these promises and not following through.
Thank you for your comments. Angeli, followed by Kim Holt.
My grandmother used to say, if you spend your money on the little things, you won't have anything left for the big things. She also used to remind us you can only spend it once. The county is now asking us for another tax increase right after passing what you called a balanced budget. In that budget, you raised almost every county fee and passed those increases directly onto the residents, but you didn't cut anything meaningful. Restricting out-of-state travel is not a real reduction. 4 of you on the council ratified that budget. The jail did not fall apart overnight. This has been a long time coming. If you knew major repairs were needed, why didn't you cut more from the budget to free up money to fix it? There are nearly 700 comments online opposing this ordinance. These comments are coming from working families, from single moms, from people who are struggling just to make ends meet. These are people who have already cut the fat out of their own budgets, and in many cases, they've cut meat out of their family meals just to survive in an environment of raising taxes, fees, and costs. These are the people who put you in office. You were entrusted with a $3.5 billion budget, yet in that budget, you did not fund body cameras for jail deputies. If public safety is truly your #1 priority, why wasn't that a priority? You say it is, but the funding never seems to follow your words. You have not been faithful with the dollars that have already been given to you. The county executive has been fighting our deputies and failed to fund them properly for the past year. This has cost the county more than $150,000 per deputy. That's over $2.2 million that could have gone towards cameras, staffing, and repairs for the jail. The overtime costs alone could have been directed to critical needs. Instead, we see money being spent on things like a $150,000 reparation study while essential public safety needs go unmet. And now you're trying to tell us that you may have to release criminals into the street if this tax isn't passed, while at the same time, millions go to programs that so many residents view as non-essential and wasteful. That is not fair to the people who are already stretched thin. Take the next year, reopen the budget, and trim it. Prioritize the big things. Be responsible with the money you already have before coming back to the public and asking for more.
Kim, followed by Kathy Orlando.
Good afternoon. My name is Kim Holt. I'm back because I've continued reviewing the county budget, and what I keep finding is a serious lack of accountability and measurable outcomes tied to the dollars we are spending. This is not about attacking the mission. It is about oversight. For example, Leveled Up Reentry, $1.2 million. Their mission statement sounds strong, but basic transparency questions remain. Their website lists a P.O. box as an address. There are no clearly identified physical locations for their school readiness program or business operations. Secretary of State filings show multiple documentation changes over time. Before allocating over $1 million, shouldn't we have clear, verifiable operational information? Asian American Chemical Dependency, $1.3 million. According to their most recent IRS Form 990, 2 directors received nearly $700,000 combined salary. In salary, that is more than half of the $1.3 million allocation. They may provide valuable services, but are we analyzing cost efficiency and outcomes per dollar spent? Now, across the budget, I repeatedly see a line item, other services and charges. In one instance, that category totals roughly $22 million. That is an enormous amount of taxpayer money placed in a broadly defined bucket. What are the measurable outputs tied to those expenditures? Now, consider the larger picture. We have a behavioral health sales tax that is set to expire at the end of 2027. It has been in place for 5 years. A performance audit review is due in May 2026. Before implementing and expanding additional criminal justice taxes, shouldn't we wait for the full performance review of that tax? Additionally, we are expanding housing capacity without proportionally expanding public safety capacity in rural areas like the Key Peninsula. Deputy response times can range a minimum of 20 to 40 minutes. If a critical incident happened, like at one of the many schools, that delay could be catastrophic.
Thank you for your comments. Kathy, followed by Dixie, and then Kim. And those are the last that are signed up on these. Again, I will open it up to everybody else. So if you are thinking you wanted to speak and were not signed up.
Good morning. Thank you. I appreciate this opportunity, and I value you all sitting in these chairs because what a difficult place to be. We are all frustrated with a number of things going on all across our cities, our counties, our states, as well as our federal government. I'm a lifelong resident of Pierce County. I'm a recently widowed senior on a fixed income. And I believe our regressive tax system is in need of a complete overhaul. Having said that, I know you all know that public safety is a top priority for residents across Pierce County, and it currently makes up 75% of our current budget. So it's taking the money. This proposed justice fund will ensure that we have a reliable source of revenue that isn't competing with other equally important areas of our budget. Investments in affordable housing and behavioral health are prime examples. I appreciate the oversight included, the public performance dashboard, the Justice Fund Advisory Body, and clear reporting on how funds are spent and what outcomes are achieved. I encourage us all as citizens to go down and talk at our legislature, because although I don't like the idea of added taxes, until there is another means of accomplishing this funding, I support this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Dixie, followed by Kim.
Good morning, council members and Madam Chairman. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts with you on this proposal. I'm a lifelong resident of Pierce County and recently retired as well. So I guess that makes me a senior citizen. As a senior citizen, related to this proposal, there are two things that kind of stand out to me. Clearly, we have probably consistent with other public entities, a lot of work to do on costs and efficiencies and things like that. But I think in this case, those concerns, those ongoing work, are outweighed by the public safety and criminal justice effectiveness issues. As a senior, I've seen things in Tacoma change drastically over the past couple decades. And I think from a safety perspective that needs to be addressed, and clearly we need some dedicated funding to do that. So I think as a whole, I would offer my support to the proposal and encourage the council members to work as hard as they can on keeping costs down and things reasonable for the people of Pierce County. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Kim Schultz. Okay, so at this time, that's who signed up. Is there anyone else in chambers that wanted to provide public comment? Go ahead and come to the podium. Just kind of create a little line like we're in elementary school. If you'd like your name on the record, please share it.
Hi, my name's Lisa Olson. I'm from University Place, the highest property taxes in the state of Washington. The people turned out and said, no, we didn't want this tax increase, but we also agree that we need more officers. And we're pretty good in UP, but we do have a seam bursting there from Tacoma and the surrounding cities. It failed, the property tax increase, but 3 months later it got snuck on a special ballot, and the turnout, as we know, in these little special elections are next to null. So it passed. We still don't have our officers for our tax increase, from what I'm understanding. I'm a volunteer, a member, a mentor for the unhoused. My boots, I'm on the ground. I'm in the trenches. I'm out there literally talking to the people that are flooding or overflowing the jails. Here's the problem. The unhoused have the choice to stay on the streets, and they prefer that because that's where they can do their drugs. They can do it openly. We all have to see it. My kids have to see it. And this is where you get increases in crime, drug use. It's wishy-washy. Sometimes they get arrested, sometimes they don't. I'm talking to these people. This is what they tell me. Their concerns are there's no accountability. There's nothing that forces them to get the help that they need. They want the help, but there's no involuntary detainment anymore. Washington State took that away. I've talked to officers. It's just the way it is. So everything is coming down to no accountability, no enforcement of the laws that are on the books already because we can't involuntarily detain and get the help that they need. I know rehab would be expensive, but at least they would have some sort of avenue to avoid flooding the streets. The other thing is that our potholes are still not fixed. How much money is going out for that? Open drug use. I'm on a tight budget. I mean, rocks coming up from the freeway are hitting our windshields, and there's nothing that the police can do about that either. So I just say, solve the problems that you have before you ask your employers for more money. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Hello, thank you. I'm Katie Cornell. I'm a resident of Gig Harbor. And I am opposed to this tax because of the fact that it will not fix the real problem. And it will actually be back here in 1 year today. And here's why. As it was mentioned, if we increase taxes, a sales tax, for example, that's going to increase the budget expenses of the county and of the cities. And that, so your budget is now going to go up in costs. But the other side of that is then your revenue is going to go down because families like mine with 3 kids are cutting costs everywhere we can. We're choosing to do date nights at home. We're choosing to repair our shoes instead of going and buying shoes. And so if we decrease our spending, it decreases your revenue. And so then we're back into the same cycle that we are in today. 1 year from now, we'll be sitting here with the same problem as your budget's going to increase because of the increased expanse of sales tax that will increase every paper you buy and everything you buy that makes our government run. Your budget is the cost will go up, and the spending and the revenue is going to go down. I'm a middle-class family, but the people that we're working to help and protect the most, the people that are actually suffering the most in poverty are going to be affected by this tax the most, and they cannot afford an increase in this tax. We will change our behavior. We won't shop in Tacoma. We'll go outside. We'll do what we have to do. The other added cost to this is businesses then are going to have to pay the same sale. They're going to have an increase in their costs as well. So then they're going to have to raise their cost for all of the services that they provide. So now I'm going to be paying the sales tax for the things I buy, but then the cost of everything I buy will go up as well. And so we cannot afford this. This tax will hurt the poor. It's going to hurt the most vulnerable that you're here to serve. And it will not actually fix the problem. If I thought it would fix the problem, if I thought that increasing taxes would help, then I would be all for it. But we actually have to figure out how to grow the revenue of our county by decreasing taxes so people will spend more and our businesses will thrive. There's 2 different paths ahead of us. One is going to crush us more, but another one is we could actually decrease things and bring people into our county.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Hello, council members. My name is Jo Fleming. I live and work and play in Pierce County, and I have done for the last 14 years. What I've got to say today is I oppose this new tax. I very much support the Sheriff's Department and law enforcement. However, I firmly believe, with all of the evidence that's come to light so far, that we don't have a revenue problem, we have a spending problem. And I'm tired of not feeling like a priority as a taxpayer. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else in chambers before I go to Zoom? Okay, we'll go online, Mr. Weinsberry.
Yes, Madam Chair. For any members of the public who wish to provide comment on proposal number O2026-501, press the raise hand icon on Zoom or *9 on your telephone keypad. It looks like we have 6 hands at this time, Madam Chair. The first hand is going to be Sarah W. Please state your name for the record. You will have 2 minutes.
Hi, my name is Sarah Wolverton. I am opposed to this tax. Just like many have said, I'm a family of 3. We have, or a family of 5, and we have one on the way. And this tax is just going to add to already, we're trying to budget, and this is just going to continue to add to what we already have going on. Some of the questions I have for the ordinance, I know you can't answer right now, is that why is there so much money for cameras at the jails? If this was something that was so important, why was something else not cut out? Why, if this is a top priority, are we not spending the money? Are you guys not spending the money on something that is said top priority? My other question is around the DOC facility for inmates. It's my understanding that Stafford Creek is making space available for inmates. So I'm just wondering how that plays a factor, and I think that needs to be considered with this tax ordinance. So why are we double dipping into this? And then 1.5 million for juveniles. How many is this going to help? How many juveniles are actually being incarcerated or arrested? There seems like there's other programs. Basically, this money is not being well spent already, and now you guys are going to tax us again. So many taxes, and I'm afraid that this is just the tip of the iceberg. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Next, Madam Chair, we have Stacy. Please state your name for the record. You have 2 minutes.
My name is Stacy Snuffin, and I live in unincorporated Pierce County. I want to be clear and upfront. I support the Pierce County Sheriff's Department and the work deputies and corrections officers do every day. My opposition to Ordinance 02026-501 comes from that support, not from opposition to public safety. When you look past the talking points, this ordinance doesn't actually fix the problems the sheriff's office is facing. The funding for the sheriff is mostly one-time items, equipment, technology, a SWAT vehicle, and a one-time $5,000 retention payment. None of that solves long-term staffing shortages, patrol coverage, response times, or the ongoing challenges inside the jail. Those issues don't disappear after one budget cycle. At the same time, the ordinance locks Pierce County residents into a permanent 0.1 sales tax with no vote of the people, no sunset, and no real public oversight. The ordinance itself says that at least 80% of future revenue must be used just to maintain existing spending, meaning residents pay more permanently to largely keep things the same. What concerns me the most is the governance issue. Under the Pierce County Charter, the sheriff is an independently elected official accountable directly to voters, not to the executive or county administrators. Yet this ordinance requested by the county executive allows funding from this new tax to be withheld based on compliance determinations made by the finance department. That may be called accountability, but in practice, it creates financial leverage over an elected sheriff. That's a real shift in power and isn't being clearly explained to the public. Supporting the sheriff means stable long-term funding and respect for the independence of the office, not using law enforcement to justify a permanent tax increase. So my question to the council is, how does this ordinance strengthen the independence and long-term stability of an elected sheriff rather than increasing executive control? And where is that authority found in the Pierce County Charter? Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Next, Madam Chair, we have Sarah Cole. Please state your name for the record. You'll have 2 minutes.
Hello, my name is Sarah Cole. Can you hear me?
We can.
Yep. Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. I live in rural Pierce County. Actually, Congress member Kruger is a neighbor just down the road. But out here, the overall poverty rates tend to be higher than in the more urban sectors. I'm especially aware of this because I serve on the board of the Eatonville Family Agency. We're the major social service organization and food bank for our area, and we serve community members covering over 580 square miles. So I'd like to start by acknowledging that even though this fund is set at 1/10 of 1%, which is minimal, in my opinion, the idea may feel significant to folks who are really struggling. However, considering the needs that Pierce County faces around public safety, the Justice Fund sounds like a worthwhile and wise investment for two major reasons, in my opinion. One, because Washington State has one of the worst funded court systems in the United States. And two, because the fund has broad support from those who know the challenges of working within a system that's not always responsive to their needs or that of Pierce County residents. I'm curious personally about specific funding priorities such as therapeutic courts that would consider the underlying conditions that drive up crime in the first place. So I'll be following this progress closely, and I strongly encourage the council to adopt the Justice Fund. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Next, Madam Chair, we have Andrew Lynn. Please state your name for the record. You'll have 2 minutes.
Andrew Lynn, are you there?
So good evening,
Excuse
me, good morning, council members. Yes, my name is Angelina Izquierdo. I'm from Pierce County District 2, the unincorporated Pierce County. So I have some questions to where this ordinance number 2026-501 Law Enforcement Tax Fund may not be necessary to pass at this moment, or may not be completely ready, and there's other priorities. So we have this addition of 19 to 22 people between the sheriff's department and also our court system, in which is very broken at the moment, that needs a lot more improvements, that can be managed by reprioritization rather than additional spending as well. So I think there's more in-house solutions that can be a lot better, including the sustainability that they already have with existing resources. I think we still have enough resources for that. We also still need an evidence room, by the way, as I've mentioned that last year a few times. There's also the response times. I've had no shows for storage theft that needs to be improved as well. So there's not, and many people showing up on sites, but we still need more people to be able to respond via phone quicker. I don't think we need additional dollars for that. So we have a higher population within the poverty bracket. So that would be able to, it would be more of a burden on us, additional hardships if we have to pay additional taxes that we cannot even afford right now. So have we been passing audits in order to add onto what we have? For backlogs, we have had a long-term issue that some short-term temp projects have caught some states up. So according to endthebacklog.com, full reform has already been established with 20 states. Some reform for the majority of the states with one no-show, and with one no reform. So I think that we already have things in progress and process. We can just hold back a little bit longer.
Thank you for your comments, Andrew.
Yes, thank you very much.
Next, we have Dr. Irvin. Please state your name for the record. You'll have 2 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Dr. Tafana Irvin, and as a third-generation resident of Pierce County, I carry both pride in this community and responsibility for its future. I understand the real impact of taxation on families and businesses. I also understand the real conversations happening around accountability in law enforcement. And like many residents, I want our neighborhoods to be safe, our systems to be fair, but more importantly, our region to thrive. That is why I'm voicing my overall support for the Justice Fund. The decision before you today is not just about funding, it's about positioning Pierce County for a stronger future. It's about investing in stability and coordinated systems and the kind of public safety infrastructure that supports both accountability and community trust. We cannot expect better outcomes without being willing to resource the systems that make those outcomes possible. Passing this proposal signals that Pierce County is willing to take a balanced, forward-looking approach, one that recognizes complexity of public safety while committing to long-term stability for its residents. I urge the council to think about its future in the next 10 years, 20 years, and 30 years, and what this Justice Fund can do to help right-size the deficits that we have today while being dependent on state and federal resources that don't seem very stable for us now, and think about the investments that we can take today. I urge you to support the Justice Fund.
Thank you for your comments.
And lastly, Madam Chair, we have Janet Thiessen. Please state your name for the record. You will have 2 minutes.
Janet, do you want to unmute? We're not hearing you.
I am so sorry. Can you hear me now?
We can. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I'm Janet Thiessen, and I am in Council District number 7 in Tacoma. And I want to voice my support for the Justice Fund this morning. Pierce County courts, the sheriff, the prosecutor, and public defense leaders work together to develop this proposal. Their unanimous support shows this as a thoughtful, collaborative approach to strengthening our public safety system. I have heard this morning people are rightfully complaining or whatever that our public safety system doesn't do enough. And I would support this so we can do better in our public safety system. Anyway, thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments.
And at this time, there are no other hands, Madam Chair.
Seeing no additional hands, we'll close. Chuck just raised his hand.
Chuck, please state your name for the record. You will have 2 minutes.
Yes, thanks for recognizing me. I had to jump out of the meeting earlier, but I was able to get back in for the end of it. I just wanted to say that nobody is always in favor of sales taxes, but most of the people I know, myself included, are not opposed to sales tax in general or tax increases in general. They're just worried about how they're being spent. And public safety is one of those things that me, my friends, my neighbors, my coworkers, those are things we value. Those are where we want to see our taxes spent. So a 0.1 cent sales tax increase to help reinforce and preserve the level of public safety we have right now for law enforcement, for our courts, to get dedicated funding to that is something that I would be in support of. Almost anybody I know would also be in support of. That's not where we want to see cuts made. We know that's a place that's always going to be under scrutiny because it comes from a general fund. So having a dedicated revenue stream for that is something I would support. I'll yield the rest of my time. I just wanted to get that out there. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
And Madam Chair, there are no other hands.
Seeing no other hands raised, I'm going to close public comment on ordinance 2026-501 and bring it back before the council. Councilmember Denson.
Thank you, Chair. Is it appropriate for me to make a motion at this time?
Let's pause, and I'm going to ask this question, but being mindful we have people that need to head out. Does anyone have questions?
Understanding there will be further discussion, I'm sure, after I make the motion.
Councilmember Morrell, you have a question?
I have a question.
We'll go to the question, then we'll go back to a motion.
And this question will be directed at John Lane. You could come up here. You represent the executive.
Yes.
And you were part of this whole process, correct?
Yes.
My question to you is, why now? Why not 2 years from now? And I know there's a part of this, we seem to focus on the 0.1% sales tax, but there's a grant program attached to this too.
Correct.
And are we going to apply for those grants?
Yes.
And any idea what we're going to do with those grants?
Yes.
So the legislature passed Ingress Substitute House Bill 2025 last year, or sorry, 2015 last year. And that provided two paths. One was a $100 million grant program, which you just referenced, and the second would be this one penny on $10 to 1/10 of 1% sales tax option. In order to implement the sales tax, you have to meet the grant requirements. As we mentioned at the last Committee of the Whole, the Sheriff's Office, in partnership with us and others, have put forward the grant application to the Criminal Justice Training Commission, and that is currently being reviewed. The Sheriff's Office has also put together a grant application that I believe will be coming in front of this council in short order. Has it been submitted yet? Or yes. And we are looking towards hiring sheriff's deputies and correctional officers with those funds, and also looking at a community service officer in order to open back up public access at the Parkland facility, and also to have a field training officer to go out and do more of the training in the field for our employees. So why now is in part because of that. Yes.
Just to interrupt you. To apply for the grants, do we have to pass the 1/10 of 1%, or are they two different tracks?
They are two different tracks, but it is obviously a grant funding, and the idea is that the legislature was similar to like what the COPS program was from the federal government with the grants, and then there's a tax option that will allow these investments to continue into the future.
Okay, just to be clear, you can't have one without the other. You can apply for grants only, or can you pass the 1/10 of 1% and not apply for the grants?
Yes, you could. I guess the question would be, why would you pass the tax if you're meeting the requirements? Why wouldn't you then go for the grant? And so, I mean, I think they sort of go hand in hand. So I think that's why we're, and this is round one that we're currently teeing up for. There are multiple rounds. Now, the state, candidly, was a little slow in getting the grant funding out the door. So there's kind of a backlog that in that fund that has generated, and the Criminal Justice Training Commission is looking to get those funds out as soon as possible now that the grant opportunity has opened itself up. So why now? If we don't act now, we're just really kicking down the road future problems for ourselves. As we discussed, Ms. DeMuth mentioned, in terms of structural deficit, in terms of all of these current investments where the bills are coming due, when we look at, needing to make investments in our infrastructure, those buildings aren't going to get better with age. Okay, so we need to start working on that. Now, we also need these funds so that we can go out, and one of the most important conversations that the group had was about how we need to tie and unify our system in a better way to deliver better results for our community. And so that's why we see the investments in the links and in the evidence systems, and also that group talking about the need to make sure that we're putting aside 80% of these revenues so that we're not like losing any ground. That is critical important. I know the sheriff is making a big push in this next year, and we support it in making sure that we're getting new law enforcement deputies and new correctional officers. I believe we had a new orientation yesterday where we had 8 new correctional officers that were part of that orientation, and so I know that we are making progress, and we need to continue to make progress. And so that's why it's important that we move now. The other piece I think that you might be getting at is that we need to move now on this because we have I believe it's like April sort of 16th, 17th is the deadline that we need to make sure that the Department of Revenue has our application to implement the new tax, because that's the deadline in order for it to become effective July 1, which then we would start receiving revenues in September. If we miss this window, the Department of Revenue does not take new applicants until, so it would be until into the next year, because it would be October would be the next time that we could put forward.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Huru, you have a question.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and this is for you too, Mr. Lane.
Great.
Just on the $100 million grant,
yes,
that is for this biennium and one other biennium, correct? And then it's no longer available.
I believe it's 3 years was what they set aside. So, but yes.
So it's like a year and a half and then the next biennium. And that is, so $100 million is $50 million across the whole state that would be vying for those dollars, correct?
$100 million across the whole state, yes. And I think if you look at Pierce County, proportionally, you know, we are in a good position, I think, to leverage a large portion of that.
Okay, and that is geared towards hiring, paying for some of the salaries of the officers that we could get. And then after the end of that funding, that responsibility is back on the taxpayers. We don't have that cushion coming in from the state.
That's correct.
Okay. And the COPS program that you spoke of, that community-oriented policing, is that what that is referring to?
Well, yeah, I'm a little out of like the specifics on that, but it was the federal program that provided grants, and then, you know, you had to take on that locally after a certain period.
So it's kind of like, because what I recall looking at was like a neighborhood program where officers knock on doors, hey, how you doing? They become buddies with the neighborhoods.
I want to be clear, like what I was referencing was the federal program. That's different than what this is. What I'm saying is that there is grant funding that is going out that we can access in this now in this next biennium. And that will be going away, and so we need to make sure that we're prepared, so we're not, you know, taking on and hiring people and then having to let them go. So having this 1/10 of 1%, the 1 penny on $10 purchase, like enables us to make sure that when we access these grant funds, that we have resources so that we can continue to employ individuals that are purchased through that, individuals that are hired through that process. Sorry, and you know, other things.
Okay, and the reason that we have the option of the tax, or because we already have a public safety tax in place, and so that is what qualifies us to be able to apply for the grants, correct?
No, what qualifies, there's a series of needing to be have policies and procedures with Keep Washington Working, use of force, having some of the how warrants and other documents are processed. So there's a series that we've gone over, and I can pull those up for you.
Okay. And the CJTC, so they are going to be the authority of who does and does not receive grants. They are the ones that are analyzing the applications and discerning if there is a qualification.
Yeah, that's standard practice with the state. Anytime that the legislature passes a program, they have a state agency that's responsible. So oftentimes, you know, you'll see the Department of Commerce or others. Like in the law enforcement arena, typically the Criminal Justice Training Commission has been the agency that the state has put in charge of implementing budget decisions by the legislature.
And the leadership of the CJTC is appointed by the governor?
My understanding is that there are appointments from the governor's office, and
So there's no elected personnel that are within the CJTC to answer to the people?
I don't have the current board makeup. I believe that there are some elected officials that are part of that, but I can look into that and get back with you.
Okay, interesting. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And Ms. Kelly might be able to help you with that because we've had conversations about that board, but we can follow up. Okay, so we're going to go back to Councilmember Denson.
Thank you, Chair. I move that proposal number O-2026-501 be forwarded to the full council with a due pass recommendation.
It's been moved and seconded that we forward O 2026-501 to the full council with a do pass recommendation. Are there any further comments from my colleagues? Councilmember Denson, do you have something?
Make comments since
Okay.
I made the motion. And I'm sure there'll be a lot more discussion to be had at the full council meeting when this comes forward, assuming it does. But just overall comments. No one likes new taxes. It doesn't matter who you are, what side of the aisle you're on, particularly in these volatile economic times. I don't think there is a single elected official that gets excited about passing new taxes. It's certainly not something that I'm happy to do. But we've heard, not only today, but for years, before I came on council, I was hearing about our impending structural deficit. And we have a structural deficit, and as we heard from our finance department, we saw it in real time this year. We balanced our budget using fund balance. And as you can see with all of our budget documents, that's going to be continuing into the future. It's just not sustainable. With the revenue restrictions and capabilities that counties have, thanks to property tax cap increases that we have to live within, and with unpredictability and unreliability and just inadequacy of our sales tax, we just can't keep up. I mean, the math just doesn't work, particularly with staffing costs and the increases that we need regarding salaries year over year. That's not even taking into consideration technology, equipment, vehicles, capital improvements, buildings that, yes, people have known about, council members have known about for years and years. Council members here at the most have served, 7, 8 years? Some of us are on our 4th year. These problems did not start under any of our tenures. It started long ago. We can't do anything about the decisions in the past, but we have to be responsible stewards of our dollars today, and that means making tough choices. I know the community is very supportive of our deputies, very supportive of the sheriff office, so I want to just speak to that. In particular, we know the market is incredibly competitive. There is fewer and fewer people getting into law enforcement. I hope that improves in the future. We're certainly doing our best to encourage that. This Justice Fund is essential in keeping the number of deputies we have, providing continued hiring incentives, and ideally adding more deputies. And I was really excited to hear that that's going to be a focus of the grant application that the sheriff office has been working so hard on, because what I hear and what I've heard and what I'm sure my colleagues before me heard in the rural detachments like the Peninsula Detachment, but I know we're no different than the other rural detachments and the Central Detachment as well, we need more deputies countywide, everywhere. Certainly the response time in the rural areas is not what we want it to be. I do really appreciate the engagement of everyone who's come today, everyone who's written in. We hear you. I'm definitely hearing you about accountability and transparency. You've asked some good questions that we will be going to our finance department and our contract department to get some clarity on. And these are questions that are important for us to be asking. They're important for you to be asking, and I appreciate that. And I do appreciate that for most of us that have spoken, and most of us on council here, I think all of us on council, we have a common goal that we care about public safety, that we want to do better and better, the best that we can. We can't do everything, especially as a county. We've got limited resources, but we want to do the best possible with the resources we have. And having this dedicated, restricted fund that is just going to go to public safety is important. We've heard from our justice leaders, we've heard from our finance department. I believe them when they're telling us what they need to keep Pierce County safe and to build the capacity and sustain what we have, and then building addition, because we know we've got improvements that we all want to make. I believe them, and I think it's essential. I know it's essential that we give them the resources that they need to do their jobs. So I encourage a yes vote today. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any additional comments from colleagues? Councilman Morrell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In hearing all the comments out there, and I understand the impact that it does have when we're talking taxation in general. I don't like taxes. I've owned a company, multiple companies in Pierce County for over 45 years. And the amount of taxes that I have paid is just astronomical. And anyone starting out in business in Washington State has got challenges. I understand that. I'm in the twilight years, and I'll be moving on. But it is challenging. No one likes to pay them. And when we do pay them, we want accountability. We want the dollars to be spent in a positive outcome way with transparency, as my colleague just talked about. One of the things that I'm the longest standing member on this council, entering my 8th year on this council, and I've seen the challenges of the budget. I understand that, business, and I always wondered, and this is the thing that I just beat my head against the wall when I first came here, is why can't government react as quick and nimbly as business has to? Why can't we, adjust our budgets accordingly to what our, revenue is, et cetera, and it is more challenging with government because there's set priorities, there's expectations that are put upon us to carry out. I may not agree with all those expectations, and definitely don't agree with some of my colleagues on some of the programs that we fund. But there again, within this council, we do hear and talk and communicate to each other, which I really appreciate. But, I've dealt with fraud in my district, and there's multiple levels that fraud is ferreted out, both at the federal, the state, not only the county. I had one nonprofit that we ended up having to shut down because the CEO misused the funds. I didn't like seeing that happen, but it needed to happen. And then prosecution took place. That sent a very strong message. It created a huge hole in services that nonprofit provided in my district, but it was the right thing to do. And so, I'm not without the understanding and the illusion that fraud does not happen. But, we try to prioritize within our budget what my colleagues want to see moving forward. We attempt to monitor outcomes with transparency. This last budget was a struggle. I did not agree with it. A lot of the fee increases that were talked about, I did not like. But there again, the majority on this council, whether, it's me being in the majority vote or me being on the other end of the majority vote. I mean, it's the way it happens. So I am, looking at this sales tax increase. It is a tax increase, and it is a stacking of taxes in our community, which is all of Pierce County. There are other cities that are looking at passing their own 0.1% that will add to the sales tax. I'm sensitive to some of the businesses that are heavily impacted by sales tax. I know Councilmember Herrera has got a lot of car dealers in his district, and they are very vocal about sales tax because people understand that they could go buy vehicles elsewhere and not have to pay a sales tax. So I understand that sensitivity there. So I think with this moving out of committee, if it does move out, I'll be interested to see what other comments, what other council member, my colleagues have in discussion. And this will be heard final on March 3rd?
March 3rd, 3 p.m.
Okay. Okay. So I think those are my comments as of right now. So I appreciate being able to openly discuss some of my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. We will go to Councilmember Krueger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a lot of thoughts on this idea of another sales tax increase. And to me, it's kind of a facade to claim that this is, the public safety is for the deputies. It's far more than just that. That is a small piece of this big package on what these monies are supposed to be dedicated to. And it always seems that the things that you want your government to do the most, your expectation with your tax dollars, are the things that get put aside. Well, we'll just have to pass another tax for that later. And I don't agree with that. And so the idea that this is all this public safety and we support our law enforcement, and we do. And if it were just finding something for that, that would be, a different story to discuss. And when I had mentioned earlier about what the state is doing, my heart palpitates when I listen to them having a bill that passed through the Senate and is now going to the House, which is, I want to say, commandeering, it's the left pension plan. I believe, if I'm recalling right, it's around $5 billion. And because the left pension plan is already well funded, it has all this extra dollars, they want to take that and put it to other uses. And if I recall, it was the general fund. But then also, the governor was taking $469 million, $569 million out of the CCA, the Climate Commitment Act. What that was going to, I don't know, but one of the senators was putting dollars from this pension fund to replace those dollars into the Climate Commitment Act. And it's like, what is that all about? Aside from the fact that less than 0.1% is carbon dioxide, but that's another issue. And how are we going to be attracting the businesses to come to this state when the tax base is eroding, when we have the legislature that is now doing the income tax? And I believe they did an amendment to remove the idea that it's just the millionaire tax. And so we have that coming. And then I know, looking at listening to discussions of a road usage tax that the people would have to come up with, the income tax. Also, I have listened to discussions of legislators talking about a single-payer health care. We know that doesn't work. And I recall looking at the front page of the Public Works website and how they are having to consider the increases that they will be doing in order to break even, I guess, on the services that they provide to our building industries who provide a great deal of the sales tax to this county. And, mentioning the vehicles, my family is in the market for 2 more vehicles because, we've had them about 8 years. They're getting the mileage up there. As much as I would want to patronize people I know in this locality, I'm going to have to go out somewhere else in the state. I don't know, Longview, where the tax is much less, because that's a pretty penny on the sales tax. So I don't have the belief that these dollars are going to solve any kind of problem. It's going to create more problems. If the legislature is going to continue to, I want to say, plunder the earnings of its citizens and its residents, how can we be assured that there won't be another time when they say, oh, you're going to have to pass another sales tax because we want to have clean energy and we need some more, electric vehicle chargers. When the Go place I used to go to return the Amazon things, I mean, they just like were gone. And they had 3 of those chargers there, and those are gone. I don't, what are they being forced to invest in? And it isn't that we don't need the dollars, that we do. But I don't have the faith that this is going to solve anything. It's going to probably make things worse. And if we don't fix the roots of the problem, we can just put tax upon tax upon tax. And which leads me to another thing on dedicated funds. It really should all just be in the general fund. And then the people that you elect to do those dollars are responsible for where they go. Because when you have a fund that has so many dollars in it, you can't use it where you need it. It's why I was asking about the 911 taxes. There's a lot of money in those accounts. How much exactly, I'm not certain what it is, but it's sitting there accumulating for something. Why can't we, use those dollars? Because it came out of a dedicated fund. And so when you shoestring or hamstring yourself by having dedicated funds, this is what happens. And so I urge a no vote on this. There's so much more to it than just putting a Band-Aid on this issue. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for the comments. Any further comments? Vice Chair Herrera.
Thank you, Chair. A lot's been said. I agree with some of my colleagues, what they said. But one thing that hasn't really been talked about is, the people out there that have been testifying here today, and many who have written in, probably hundreds of them, and a lot of voices have been spoken because they couldn't exercise their voice by voting on saying that, hey, we agree that the government shall and can tax us for this specific issue. I always want to err on the side of giving the people a voice, and it seems like the trend lately kind of has been that we're taking that away on many different fronts, either it be elected sheriffs, whether it be elected clerks or appointed or anything like that. I always come from the position of erring on the side of the people's voice. I think it's really important for that. That hasn't been said today, and I thought that's quite important to talk about that. There'll be a lot more to talk about when it gets to the floor, when we actually vote on this. We're moving it out of committee today, and I appreciate all the work on this. Thank you.
Thank you for the comments. Councilmember Yambe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have some questions, but I'm going to ask them aside. Do have concerns about regressive taxes. Do have issues with the state doing all of their changes at the same time that, and I think that our increasing needs on all levels of government is very clear. We're given limited tools by the state. We are an extension in many ways, a subdivision of the state in Washington, so we have that. And public safety has consistently been a priority of mine. And no matter how anyone wants to look at it, I've always been supportive of our people doing our first responders and keeping our community safe. It's holistic. There's a lot of things that go into keeping our community safe, public safety. As this justice tax lays out, there's a lot of accountability, which I do like. I have issues, but I will save most of my comments for the final passage. I will move it out of committee. But I appreciate the breadth of the concerns and the pros that have come out for my colleagues, especially Councilmember Denson and Morrell. Councilmember Morrell and I don't agree often on many things, but I know that he is thoughtful and he weighs all different aspects and is very intentional about how he legislates. And so it's always nice to have that model to look at and be in the room when you see it at work. So I appreciate his comments and deliberation on this, and I appreciate my colleagues' thoughtfulness on this and the public for sending in testimony. There's a lot of people whose testimonies that we get to hear that don't get recorded on our EDS, and so I've been hearing a lot in the community too, so appreciate that, and I will vote to support, urge a yes on this.
Thank you for those comments. We'll go to Councilmember Ayala.
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate it. I'm going to try very hard not to repeat something that has already been said, because it's said and understood, and it doesn't help or benefit anyone. But I do want to express thank you to everyone who has provided public comment. Thank you to the acknowledgement of this is not a popular decision to make either way. I also want to express gratitude for every single person that stepped into the conversation around a collaborative approach to public safety and to our justice system. To have those voices and those expertise at the table informing the direction of council and councilmatic action is a big deal. And I think that because these tables have not, they've always existed, but to really optimize that collaborative approach, it does put us in a direction that allows us to set the foundation for that infrastructure. I also want to note, of our general fund spending, about 75-ish%, ballparking here, does go to public safety and justice. And to have dedicated funding for just that, considering that 75% of our general funds go there, does secure that. This doesn't prevent us from using general fund dollars to further invest in that public safety aspect. And so there's a bigger landscape here that I think that these dollars will allow us to I hate to use this term, but to play with and to ensure that our public safety and that our justice system is fully capable to handle everything that has been put on their plates, whether it's unfunded mandates from the state, whether it is what our community is generating to go through their courts, through their system, or whether it is individuals that are going into our jails and coming out and working to not go back into harmful behavior that put other people at risk. So I want to say thank you to everyone engaged in that, and my expectation around accountability does land in the public participation of how folks want to see these dollars and that data show up year after year. So want to comment, for those individuals, there is an opportunity to see what that looks like moving forward. It doesn't end with the vote. It is perpetual, and would highly encourage folks to raise those concerns. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for the comments. Well, appreciate the dialogue, appreciate the justice leads that came together to come up with this proposal and the work that went into it, and continuing to hear the dialogue. I, as a resident of unincorporated Pierce County, when I look at who is going to invest in our public facilities, like for me at the end of the day, that's one of the biggest things I'm worried about. We have no plan and no fund source to replace 2 facilities, and that's 2 out of many, but 2 critical facilities that we are mandated by the state to do. We have to have a juvenile justice detention center, and we have to have a jail. And if we are not providing those, we have to come up with some pretty creative and very expensive ways to support that, or potentially do other things that, when we talk about public safety, are not what I hear in community that people want. They want people to be safely incarcerated if that is where they're supposed to be, so that we can do the process, whatever the process may be. Right now, our facilities are starting to fail. if we do not do something now, and anybody who's ever tried to do a home remodel, you always regret because the thing that was expensive a year ago is now 2 times as expensive. Building a jail and building Raymond Hall, whatever that's going to be, is going to be an incredibly expensive thing, no matter when we do it. But the further down the road we kick that can, the higher the costs will go. And at the end of the day, if this makes sure that we can get those 2 facilities built, it is worth it to the taxpayers of Pierce County. Our next census, we will most likely be over 1 million people. We do not have room in our facilities, and we are having to get creative, and creative is not what we want to do when we are trying to keep the community safe. We want to come up with safe facilities that allow us to provide the required services. Our medical costs for those that are incarcerated is over $10 million a year. This fund is bringing in $20 to $25 million a year. So just for the medical care for those that we put in our jail, that's part of that. So this is a portion of some dollars that will allow us to keep things going, invest in these infrastructure projects, and make sure that we can hire hardworking men and women who are willing to do this work. It does retention bonuses for corrections, which we were not able to do in the last budget. We were not able to do that. If we do not do this, there is no fund source for that, so corrections will go without their retention bonuses that patrol did get. And in June will be the last time we have funding left for hiring bonuses. That program goes away. And so we will no longer, as a county, have any incentives to get people to come and work for us. And if we're trying to fill 60 vacancies in corrections and patrol, not having those things are problematic. So I will be a yes vote on this today. I don't think there was a surprise, but as one of the sponsors, but just wanted to be clear as to the why for me. I have a whole list of whys, but those are the 2 really big ones. We want to continue those incentives, and we've got to get those public facilities built. So I'm going to ask my colleagues to entertain the motion before us is to forward O-2026-501 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. All those in favor say aye. Roll call, please. We can do it. Can we call the roll?
Committee Member Ayala.
Aye.
Committee Member Morell.
Nay.
Committee Member Yambe.
Aye.
Committee Member Kruger.
Nay.
Committee Member Dunson.
Aye.
Committee Member Herrera.
Nay.
Committee Member Hitchen.
Aye.
The results of the roll call vote is 4 ayes and 3 nays.
With 4 ayes and 3 nays, the motion is adopted. So we will be back to look at this on March 3rd at the final council meeting. So a couple weeks, well, 2 weeks away. There isn't any other business before us. So seeing no other business before the committee, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.